The pirates aren't really pirates. That's the cool thing about the show. It's about pirates, but it's not really about pirates, is it? It's a love story about two guys who happen to be on boats.
It also plays into the romance novel feel of this whole thing where you don't want to do it all the time, but David, we talked about this really early on. It's like now and then there's earned little moments, mainly between Blackbeard and Steed, where it suddenly turns into a Milton Boone cover. And it's like incredible giant. The sun is too big, or the full moon is way too big and unrealistic. But in their minds, that's what it looks like.
Oh no, that's that guy we've been watching for the last half an hour. I love him. He's pensive. What's wrong? Oh, this is all perfect.
Directing the pilot was fantastic, but then after that, just having a job where I only had to concentrate on acting was kind of like allowed me a little bit more creative time as well. I could just go in and I could be, for the first time in a long time, be creative with the words and with the character and actually concentrate on it. Because usually when I'm in my own stuff, I always leave it to the last minute and I always forget my lines and I get angry with myself because I spent so long writing the lines and then I don't even have the decency to remember those lines that I wrote. And then the performance suffers, and then the director part of me gets pissed off with me, and like wasting everyone's time. And just to be able to focus on acting by itself without thinking about any of the other stuff was it's awesome. I really loved it. It actually kind of rekindled my love for acting.
I don't really think so, in the head like that. I feel really lucky when something like this comes along. This is the most fun I've had acting for a long time. And I don't really I've got all these other things that are happening for me. So usually I just put myself in my own things. That's like the easiest way for me to do it. It's also like the kind of, it's like the less, brings me less disappointment, putting myself out there. I'm like, I'll just put myself in this because I have the power to.
It's great because it's really fun. You can get I can get a little tired of just feeling like, I'm just doing the same similar characters all the time, and to play a character like this who's deeply fucked up and troubled by something, and you can tell there's something in his past that has made him like this, and then to be able to flex that muscle, which the dramatic muscle, which is something that I find really pleasurable because it's like you don't have to live in that world of being sad or being intense for very long, but it's like, oh, that feels like different. And it's just like, a funny little adventure. And then they call cut and you're like, whoa, yeah, that was kind of weird.
What if I dip my toes in there?
To trust each other, I think, and to trust in trust that it's okay to embrace the drama. And, I think like a lot of comedians, because we're so kind of afraid of being earnest and afraid of our actual real feelings, tend to shy away from dramatic moments and things and any what's called sentimental moments. And we really had to support each other during this, where because I think we both gave very nice performances in the dramatic stuff and the romantic stuff and the emotional beats. But it's you also need someone, the person that you're acting against, to be there for you and to support you, because we're both comedians and it's not necessarily our strongest suit is the old drama, the old cry acting. But having having one another to support each other was actually kind of made it a lot easier to get through that stuff. I kind of feel like that moment, even more than the kiss, was probably the moment where we really connected and realized that we were there for each other. And then the kiss on the beach is like another moment that I think is pretty strong. And also I'm really proud that we actually managed to do that in the first season and didn't drag it out and like hold off on this moment like X-Files or something, just forever. It was good to just say, this is the show we're making.
What is it that what's the behaviors of men, and like what is it to be a man? And that's really like a lot of people, it's a comedy about pirates. It's actually a love story between two guys who happen to be on a boat, and I'm really proud of that.
Was it instantly like, I want to play Blackbeard and I want Rhys to play Steed, or was that like switched at one point, or how did it kind of come
No,
up?
I mean, I knew that Rhys would be in there in some capacity anyway, because David had already talked a lot about Rhys,
Nice.
and he started talking more about Rhys as Steed. So there was more David, and I just knew that I was going to work with Rhys, but I always do. But then Blackbeard, that didn't come for about a year or so later, when he was writing the Blackbeard character, and he'd actually said, I've been writing it as you, like for you. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not white. And then I'm not from Bristol. And then it was really interesting. Again, he's like, none of that mattered. Like in this show, nothing matters. It's really irrelevant, like what people look like or what the color of their skin is. It's like all just character based, and they have their own histories and their own backgrounds, which has somehow led them to here, to being a pirate. So it's in a way, the only thing that matters, is that people are trying to escape this past life. The main part of this show is actually me and Rhys both in front of the camera. I only directed the pilot, and then the rest of the time is us as equals.
So Taika, you don't mind taking direction from another director?
Yeah, we kind of shared directing each other and giving each other feedback, and it was really nice.
Usually he's behind the camera yelling out things to me like, try this or do that. And now when he's in front of the camera with me, I can actually turn to him and say, hey, try doing this, yell that. And he's like, oh, okay, all right, calm down. And then so now he knows what it's like to be together, and we can sort of give each other a taste of our own medicines. And somehow that turns out to be magic.
We've known each other for so long now.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because, like Rhys, we'd been talking about you for a while before, as we were just coming up with ideas for names. And David, as you say, had always been mentioning your name and saying like, well, I feel that there's an element of like, of Murray from Concords, and there's an element of this and this and that. And I was like, yeah, you just get him. He's so it'll be perfect. And but you also got to go through like you've got to actually like try other people as well. But I was so happy when you did get it and you accepted it, and then it just it all just made sense after that. And then the cast started to grow, and to get more and more really interesting, amazing people in there, a mixture of comedians and also dramatic actors. And I think that's also what helps, just further to what Rhys was saying about doing comedy. It's not that you if that's what you mainly do, which is what we mainly do, exercising that dramatic muscle is it's a bit foreign to us, and you've got to kind of believe in that you can do it. Because there's all personally, like I've just spent my life making fun of dramatic actors and just being like, because it's I always say like it's way harder to make a comedy because it's harder to make people laugh, and it's harder to be in the moment, and and to be working in that space. And I always say like, if you're being dramatic, you just the aim is to not make someone laugh. It's the way you
do the opposite. Yeah. Have a bad day.
Yeah, if someone's laughing, you're doing it. You're wrong. You're doing it wrong. But when we're together, like it's great. And I always encourage more improvising and playfulness, because often you come up with something that's better than what's on the page. It's more alive, and an audience feels that electricity when they're watching something, even if it's through the vast distance between a TV screen or on a computer. You can tell when someone's in the moment and they're reacting to something, or they're listening, and you can tell the audience, the actors are listening to each other because they don't know what's going to come next. And so I think we've got a lot of that in the show, and it was there's a lot of actors in that we were working with on this, but it was always the most exciting for me when it was just me and Rhys, because we've got such an old friendship, and we love playing, and we just keep going. No, you're not cutting. We're doing it again.
Mainly, no one tells us what to do.
As a producer, I could say no. We're going to keep going because I'm having fun with this now.
That big Mad Max costume, and this one with the wig and the beard, and there was just a little hot box in there. But I saw a lot of fun with all just having a little campsite moment there, eating a snake and killing the snake. But anytime that I was with Rhys was fun, because we would just we crack each other up, and those times that we both would get to riff together. And some of the more fun moments where we just went overboard with the improvising probably didn't make it into the show for good reason. It just goes on and it's about nothing. But they definitely are, those are the real fun times I have on set.
Taika, what is more fun, walking on a set and seeing a bunch of pirates, or walking on a set and seeing a bunch of superheroes?
I mean, pirates is.
It's hard to be gay pirates, you know.
Gay pirates, come on.
Come on.
Listen, I was hoping for that answer, and you played right into it.
We start filming, hopefully, I think by October, and we're going to shoot in New Zealand, which is, we shot the last one in LA. Weird place to try and do something all on the ocean. So we're going to go down to New Zealand, which is surrounded by it. And yeah, it's that's one of the things I'm most excited about for the next year.
I just love working with Rhys. We're good together. You know, nothing's going to tear us apart.
Us against the world, man.
Yeah, it's always been like that. We're going to work together forever. I know that. I was talking to my friend about this, about Rhys and Jermaine as well. Like that, we've got such similar backgrounds as well. Like, we both were raised by single mothers and didn't have much when we were growing up, and we both loved like Monty Python. Just like got lost in comics and comedy, and escaped the realities of life with that. And I think that's why I think our bond and the way that we connect and work together, like we often I know there's like a look between us when we're on set, and like there'll be a look between me and Rhys where we just both we'll go, and it's like can be like, what are we doing here? And also, can you believe that we're here, where we come from? And it's like, it's always great that we both like pinch ourselves. And so, and I really love that, our working relationship. So I want it to keep going.
Various parties, and we stand in the corner and just be like, can you believe this? I can believe it. I mean, like this is like we've got something that is different over here. Like, but it's just been something that I think we've both been very aware of over the years. Also, by the way, we've actually known each other for more like 26 years.
No, we met in New Zealand before that in the stand-up circuit, and we happened to have shows in Edinburgh at the same time. We already knew each other.
We know how each other kind of, our sensibilities, and as Rhys was saying, we're very similar style as well, and when it comes to the banter stuff and also the fun stuff where we do a lot of improvising together, that is like a really fun, safe space for us where it's like we kind of just feel like younger versions of ourselves. Just feel like we're just mates hanging out again and just jamming. I didn't want those scenes to end really.
Rhys Darby is, in my opinion, one of the greatest improvisers I've ever known. And I've been in the scenes. I've been in the trenches with him.
Promo.
Rhys is so good in that managerial project. That's why we made him the head of the werewolves. I don't know if you know this, Rhys, but we knew, because we wanted Anton to just start getting annoyed, and we told all the other actors, whatever Rhys tells you to do as the head of the werewolves, just get it wrong and keep coming up to him and asking him what's to. And like it was, remember that night, it was like really late at night. It was freezing.
3 a.m. I know.
Everyone was just exhausted. It's like, and we were just we kept shooting, and even I was getting annoyed with these guys. Like everyone's getting, but it's really great. Like I think that's because you're so good at delegating and so good at running a group of people, Rhys. So, like it's like perfect.
Something, for another project you two have collaborated on, whether that is Roddy Roddy Rah or anything else come back in any shape, way, or form.
Yeah, for sure. I mean. I don't know what it'll be, but it'll just come out of the blue. A lot of the times it's like that. I mean, it's not like we plan a thing 3 years in advance. It's like it'll just happen organically, which is the best way. Like an improvised joke. That's what happens.
Yes.
We just